Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You missed it all.
Who's got a gray actor outside?
Is it running?
No, I'm just kidding.
I've done that before.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first, welcome back. And I hope we all enjoyed our nice break and time with our families and friends. So, almost at the halfway point. So. All right, moving ahead. Motion to approve the minutes of December 9th. Kim, and a second. Mike, questions, additions, deletions? All those in favor? It's unanimous. We'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, and good evening. Unfortunately, I'll start my update with the Power School briefing. Even though we've sent out several messages since we have a board meeting tonight, I'm just going to tell you how we were notified and what actions we've been able to take so far. So on January 7th, we were notified by Power School of this cybersecurity breach. Our internal team immediately started checking our firewall, server, and student information. We were able to determine that both student and staff information was compromised. However, we do not store Social Security numbers in Power School. Our IT director, Jessica Wood, sent a notification to staff and families explaining that the school had been, that we were breached, along with the other school districts in our country and globally as well. IT reset all staff credentials, reset Power School server. They offered a webinar, which our director, Jess Wood, was present for. They admitted as an organization that they had not implemented multi-factor authentication, which is part of the issue. There's a company called CrowdStrike. It's a cybersecurity company, and they are the investigating agency with regard to this incident. Now, this is Power School, so this is not me saying that this came from the webinar. They stated that the hacker showed a video of them deleting the information, and we are unsure if Power School actually paid a ransom for them to do that. I can't verify if that happened or not. This is just the information that came through the webinar. We spoke to KERMA, our insurance carrier, the Connecticut Interlock Risk Management Agency. We've been in touch with them, and also our cybersecurity company called Beasley. And our rep is Max Bradshaw. We are currently waiting for the next issuance of information from Power School, which they stated would be on the 17th. So KERMA, Beasley, we, along with others, are waiting for what the next bit of information is going to be to inform next steps. I've also reached out to our local representative just to let them know that we are interested specifically what they're going to do for us. I'm sure I'm one superintendent of many, but that's what I know about that situation so far. So I'll hold there pending any questions. I'll move on to the HVAC project at SES. Thank you to the community for voting in support of this referendum to provide not only air quality but air conditioning for SES. So now we're engaged in the logistics of making this project happen. So we have come to realize that the companies cannot complete the work while it is fully occupied. We will have to create swing space, and students and staff will move through the phases of the work. Right now, the work is slated to be done in 4 phases. The first phase, if it meets approval with the fire marshal, building inspector, they're talking about taking down the ceiling tiles over the April break so they can conduct measurements, and procure materials, so when school ends, they could get right to work. So that is pending, though, upon review from the fire marshal and building inspector. Last week, I talked to the elementary school staff about a relocation and what that would look like. I don't know who the staff will be. Most likely, it would be the group of 4th graders moving into 5th grade. There are 96 students in that grade level, 5 regular ed staff members and support staff. So we have started a planning committee comprised of elementary leadership, the middle school leadership, and we're currently working to identify appropriate spaces in the middle school. We're talking about scheduling and transportation. We've had one meeting with the bus company. Our follow-up meeting, I believe, is at the end of this week. And the due-out, we tasked them with providing us with accurate information regarding ridership, just so we can further inform our conversations as we plan. There is a tab already on our website. It's not yet populated, but it will say HVAC project, and we will continuously update that with information along with the school messengers we send out to families. We'll have a frequently asked question section, and it will sound something like this question: when will the construction begin at SES? This project will be completed in phases. Phase 1 will begin in the spring of 2025. How long will the HVAC project last? The HVAC project is expected to be completed in 2027. So we will continue to populate that section with FAQs, and we have also created a dedicated email that will be posted there as well, so families can email questions and we can provide real-time responses as we engage in this planning process. So I'll hold there. Are there any questions so far? We've also talked about, I know we'll have to have families over once we identify the dedicated space. Families will want to see like where the students will be and what part of the school. So we're still working out, from bus drop-off, where in MBA would it be most appropriate to have our 5th graders. And when I met with the staff last week, I said our goal is to replicate as much as possible their elementary school experience, meaning recess, or they're in a self-contained model, looking to continue that if possible. So that concludes my briefing on that, pending your questions.
So I'm just curious, obviously I'll have one of those children affected by that as a 3rd grader. So he will be so this is 2 years worth of 5th graders will be in the middle school. So let's think about all the things 5th graders do. What happens to the current class this year, the 4th graders? So do they graduate from elementary school this year, or are they considered elementary school kids just housed at the middle school? Like, how does all that, those are a lot of important milestones.
Yeah, so I hear 2 different questions, and that came up with Melissa and Mike, because they're part of the planning. Some of the ceremonies that are unique to their lives at SES. We're going to do, nothing's in concrete,
right,
but that is part of our discussion, how to still give them the same experience as they transition.
There's just, my concerns, obviously, there's a huge difference between 5th graders and 8th graders. And I personally think they need to be segregated. I'm not trying to be, alarming about it, but I don't...
No, and that is part of our discussion, like a dedicated area.
Yeah.
Still maintaining their profile of being self-contained. I know last year they did switch, but it was in the same hallways, one classroom. But even before the HVAC project, through my discussions with Principal Musey and Assistant Principal McDonald, we talked about the pros and cons of them switching, aside from the HVAC project, and they made the determination that they wanted to be self-contained, and we're going to aim to continue that.
How would lunch work?
I know. That's another question.
Another logistic.
I mean, the 6th graders eat at 10:45.
Yeah, we've had one meeting where we actually discussed like what lunch would look like, but I'm not sure if that would work.
Yes, there's a long way to go, I know.
Yeah.
But, so if you, I think you mentioned you guys are going to send the communication out tomorrow. You're just going to need to be prepared. It's good.
I know people are concerned about the bus, recess, lunch, will they switch or not?
And 100 others.
Just say, yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably aside from having the website, once the plans are more formalized, there should be some sort of physical meeting,
Sure.
you know, where people can come and talk about it too.
So this school operated fourth through eighth for about 25 to 30 years.
Yep.
And the principal still lives in the community, was principal at that time. So I'm wondering if some outreach to that person as to how they ran things during that time could be helpful. Just the thought that there are resources available to us to talk about how those challenges were solved over the course of those years, because they may have some good input, and we're fortunate enough to have them still here in the community. So if you wanted, I can help with outreach to, it was Tom Schlicke, was principal for many years at the school, so. you might be
Sure, I'll never say no to information. I was aware that it was a 4 through 8. We've already had one virtual meeting with a school, I believe it was South Windsor. I believe they have a 5 through 8. So just connecting our leaders with neighboring communities. And, you know, I came from a district, we had 2 K-8 schools, so I am aware of some of the concerns, you know, rightfully so, that parents have. Anything else on that?
Yes. When we were talking about the planning of the rotation of the wings, Mike had mentioned trying to work backwards so that 2 grades, the students don't have to hit it twice. So by moving 5th grade here, does that eliminate that problem? Because remember we were talking about how we were going to rotate the wings, and we didn't want 2 grades to be affected, or 1 class to be affected in 2 years.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
Okay. I think that's important too. We don't want to.
You mean one class affected twice in a year?
Yeah. So in
Because
other
it's
words,
a 2-year project.
Right.
So if you're a second grader, you could be affected in second grade, and
And
then
3rd grade.
maybe you're with when you're in third grade too,
Right.
when you get,
you could get hit twice.
Wow.
And what Mike was saying is try to plan
What do you
it
mean
so
by
that
get
doesn't
hit
happen.
though?
You
Like
could
have
be-
to move during the year?
Twice.
Yeah, you'd have to move twice.
Each year.
yeah.
Most of them will. Well, no, they won't,
If
because
it's
it'll be
planned
half-time.
backwards. Yeah.
So I think that's an important. I thought that was a great point that Mike brought up, and I wanted to keep it on the radar.
I see what you mean, yeah.
You know, I'm going to always be transparent. I did talk to the staff. And when I first got here, I never understood the disparity in student populations. You know, SES has over 600 students. MBA has 300 or so students, about 334. Melissa and Mike, they have about 660, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I've always had that question on this disparity, so it's a good time to examine. Is it the best configuration? I don't know.
Interesting.
Okay, lastly, I will end on a positive note. I'm sorry to be the bearer of challenging information this evening. I do want to just mention a big shout out to the high school students who engaged in their capstone projects last year. I believe that they were well done, and Principal Reckenberg, who that's her first year here, we had discussions prior to capstone, and she's an external person coming in with eyes, and she had questions about capstone because different places there's a variance with how well it's done. I just want to compliment our student population and teachers for the way students were prepared, for the way that they presented, the seriousness that they took the capstone project, and also thank you to the community members that came out to support the students at SHS last week. So thank you. So that concludes my briefing tonight, pending your questions.
Okay. Next item, opportunity to, nope, we got to back up. Definitely.
Every time, every meeting, yeah.
I know, just these things.
I'm just going to stand up right after Sam's done and just say from now on. Okay, so you all received the December financial report in your packet. Not too much change from November, but I do want to touch on a few things for you just to bring your attention to them. I believe I said in the December meeting that we are paying close attention to salary and wages due to long-term subs going to be working for us in the summer or in the spring due to maternity leaves and medical leaves and leave of absences and such. But the other reason that we are keeping a close eye on it is, I'm sure you all know, minimum wage went up on January 1st to $16.35. That affects entrance monitors and most of our substitutes, sub-paras, secretaries, sub-custodians. They all go up to $16.35 an hour when they sub for us. And one of the things that we are, this will come up during our budget subcommittee meeting in the next week or two, we really need to address our sub-teacher pay. Right now we pay a per diem rate of $125 an hour for 7¼ hours. That's just over $17 an hour. So they're getting very close to what minimum wage is, and I think that we need to really consider increasing that next year. And I'm not sure if there's the opportunity really to do anything this year, but we can have that conversation as well. But I just wanted to make you all aware of that. So that is one thing, and that minimum wage increase is announced in October. So it's just something to keep in mind. I can never really prepare for it. This is the second year that minimum wage has gone up in January based on the governor's recommendation, and it's been between 4.2 and 4.6% of an increase each year. So I am recommending that we increase probably 4.5% year over year, or plan for that kind of an increase. That impacts, again, our substitute custodians, paras, secretaries, as well as our entrance monitors, which are our normal regular employees. So just back of your head, those are conversations that we're going to have at the subcommittee level, and then eventually at the board level when we bring the budget to everybody. The other thing that is likely going to impact salaries and wages is the paid sick leave state law that went into effect on January 1. So most school districts, we allow all of our staff to take time off in half or full day increments. It's easier to get subs that way. We give a significant amount of time off or opportunity to take time off for sick and personal and vacation for our 12-month employees. This only applies to their sick time. The new law says that for every 30 hours of work, they get an hour, they have the ability to take an hour of time off for sick time. They don't have to give us a reason why. They don't have to give us advance notice. They don't have to, they can take it off for any reason that pertains to wellness or sick, doctor's appointments. For family members, it's like a wide range of reasons why they can take time off, and we really can't question them. And staff can earn up to 40 hours of incremental time off. The challenge in this is that we don't give off time off right now, or we didn't up until now, in increments of an hour. They had to take half or a full day. And the concern is that staff members will start taking this time off and we won't be able to get classroom coverage. That is obviously detrimental to our students and just staff or building functions. So I know that it's a hot topic within my business manager group. I believe it's a hot topic with the superintendents. It's a hot topic with HR professionals in school districts. I don't know if it's been talked about at CABE, but we are hoping that just like with the Connecticut paid family leave, which municipal employees are exempt from, that we will also become exempt from this, since we do allow our staff to take they can take a half day off for sick time. We really don't question them unless it's as part of their collective bargaining agreement that they have to notify us after a certain number of days. This week is our first payroll where this will accrue, and we will be allowing people, and our current absence system is not super friendly with having to track all of this, and our payroll system is not super friendly with having to track all this because that's not how we set it up. So there's a lot of manual work that is being done. I started pulling reports today to try and figure out, like, is it calculating the right way? Are we giving it? We have to track it's only by the hours that somebody actually worked. So if they took sick time, that does not count towards the 30 hours of work. So there's a lot of manual tracking. There's about 3 of us that are working on figuring this out and seeing how this will impact our district. So I'm just giving you that.
Have you already had staff doing this? It started January 1st.
So January 1st started the accrual, that they could start accruing and using. They don't accrue time until our pay periods end.
Oh, okay.
So the first payroll that started December 30th through this past Sunday gets paid out on Friday. So we're going to see how our systems work on accruing this time. The majority of our staff has plenty of time available, so it may just be a matter of allowing them to take an hour here or there if they request it. We kind of have to finagle and back end that on the frontline absence management, which is how staff request time off. Up till now, we have been forcing them to either take a half or a full day. What we think our workaround is we allow them to take custom time, and they're allowed to take an hour, and they just have to put it in. They have to notify their administrator so that their administrator knows. There's no set time as far as, like, you have to take it when your shift is starting or you have to take it at the end of the day. It can be 12 to 1. And they don't really have to tell us why they are taking that hour. We are requiring that they be taken in hourly increments, so they can't take an hour and a half, they can't take an hour and 15 minutes. It has to be 1 hour increments. So we're gonna see how this goes.
So we've been talking about this for about 3 years because it was in the private sector.
Right.
There was something protecting us here in the public school district, so it changed January 1.
Yes.
Now it's impacting the public school.
Now it's impacting
And is there
everybody.
a payroll deduction from every employee as well?
I'm sorry?
Is there a payroll deduction from every employee as well to pay into the paid family medical
No,
leave?
so this is completely separate from the paid family medical leave,
Oh.
Connecticut paid. We are still exempt from that. We do not pay the tax. We don't pay the.
So this is only for public schools then?
This is for everyone. This is just how you are allowed to take time off.
But how are they going to be able to get paid leave if they're not?
There won't be any loss of pay from us. It'll be like, so right now, let's say that we give someone 10 days of sick time. They will be allowed to, within that 10 days of sick time, be able to take up to 40 hours of that time as hourly increments. So we're no longer allowed to, for the first 40 hours, allowed to say to them, you have to take a half or a full day.
They get the same amount of time, but they can take it in an hourly.
Yes.
So that's the only change.
Yes. Unless they have gone through all of their time, and the state law says that they must be allowed to accrue additional time as of January 1st. So if someone has been given 10 sick days and they used all of those before December 31st, and now they were on unpaid time if they took time off, as of January 1st, for every 30 hours that they worked, they have an hour of accrued time.
How does that work, though? That's against their contract.
State law trumps state law trumps union contracts.
So I noticed in the monthly financials we have a savings of about $17,000 in other instruction.
Yep.
Is that the subs?
That is, no, that's tutors, because we got title funding.
Okay.
So we did not have to pay for
Got it.
tutors out of our
All right.
operation.
I was just curious if we were having a hard time finding subs already.
Well, we already
And
did.
now this is going to be...
This will be another challenge.
Yeah, how are you going to get a sub for an hour or two? That's not going to happen.
What will likely end up happening is if we are able to, we'll get a half-day sub, and we'll have to either pay them and not use them for anything, or the building administrators are going to have to find things for them to do.
And the notice, there's no a lot of time of notice, like it can just be going now? So you're almost going to have to have somebody on standby at every building every day.
Who would potentially earn sick time, because this now also applies to substitutes.
Really?
So if substitutes work for us for 120 days, they can now accrue sick time, and we've never paid substitutes for sick time.
Are other districts looking into just having, what do they call it, an in-house sub?
Building subs?
Yeah.
A lot of districts do have building subs.
Right, I mean, do you think some of them are now going to increase that or start that, or?
I think that everybody's kind of going to wait and see how this goes for the next 6 months until June. And
Yeah.
I think that they're all hoping that during this legislative session that we just entered into this past week, they're going to hope that the pressure is on to exempt municipal employees.
So we're not rotating, having staff pick up extra?
They may have to.
Mm.
And then we have within their contract that there's an agreement that if they lose like their prep time, they get paid.
Okay. I mean, I know that's happening in other districts where they're short for subs.
Mm-hmm.
You show up, you say you got to cover period 3.
Yep.
We don't have
That
subs.
happens to us now, even without this.
So this may happen more.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So
So
you'll give us another update when we get a...
any time that I have an update about this,
Yeah.
probably at the next board meeting, I'll let you guys know how the accrual is working out, and if staff are taking advantage of taking the incremental time, or if they're just putting in for a half and full day. Because sometimes just having a half day, you have a doctor's appointment in the afternoon, you can plan other things around it, you take a half day. So staff may do that as well.
I mean, it's hard to get 1 hour and get to any doctor and back.
Right. My guess is that the majority of people will make appointments for 2:30 or 3 o'clock. Let's say it's a middle school or high
okay.
school, that they'll make an appointment for like 2:30, and they'll say, I need to leave at 1:30.
Right.
And that's how they'll leave and then they don't have to take a half day, which would have them out at 11 a.m.
So it could be a plus for the kids.
potentially.
Teachers gone an hour instead of a half a day.
So,
Except those kids may have to be split up amongst other classrooms because we don't have coverage.
Right.
step, they get 10 sick days a year, and...
That was an example.
No, but it's
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
Okay.
System, right?
Yeah.
And 40 hours would be like that. That'd be half their sick days per year. They can dice up like that.
Potentially, depending on how many hours that they work. So like
I
a
guess
5-hour, like a 5-hour para, it would take, that's 8 days.
Okay. And then if sick days accrue, these hours don't accrue, or they reset every year?
They accrue up to 40 hours. So if they accrue, let's say that someone worked and they never took any time off, say a teacher, for example,
Yeah.
they'd earn approximately 22 hours of accrued time, so of time that they could take as hours. That if they don't use any of that, it carries over, and they can earn another 18 hours next year.
And they max at 40.
And then max at 40. And then if they take, let's say they take 3 hours, they can accrue up to the 40 hours,
Gotcha.
based on how many hours they work.
Can I lob some softballs at you? I just figure it's like halfway through the fiscal year, and then we're budgeting season, so.
Yep.
Attlebrook.
Edelbrook. Yep.
Edelbrook.
Yep.
What, are they L placement? Or?
Yes.
All right. And was that expected or unexpected?
That was expected. Those kids have been out for a little
Okay.
bit.
How about Kerma, Hartford Healthcare, and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield? It seems like that's all.
Kerma is our workers' comp and
That's workers' comp.
property and liability insurance.
Okay.
Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, that's our health insurance.
Medical, right? Yeah.
And Hartford Healthcare is outplacement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have a couple schools.
Interesting. And Summers Public Schools?
That is, I looked that one up because I knew you were going to ask. So for every sports season, we pay our sports officials out of a student activity account. It's just easier,
just
and then we
true it up.
reimburse from our operating budget.
All right, and then in the buckets,
Yep.
custodians and maintenance, it looks like we're running hot, like 12,000.
So
That could
we-
be encumbered, what you just reported on?
Nope. So in the spring, after we'd already started the budget process for this year, we hired 2 people that were replacing people that were lower paid.
And unemployment, 38K?
Yes, we had an unexpected
Is that
unemployment
SUDA?
this year.
SUDA, no, just unemployment payout?
Yeah, we had somebody claim unemployment
All right,
that we didn't anticipate.
all right. And transportation, 157K?
Yeah, I'm watching that closely.
Yeah.
We did drop a bus, one of the minibuses we did drop. First student is saying that we probably need to bring that back anyway. So I haven't adjusted our budget based on that bus coming off because I didn't know what was going to happen for the rest of the year.
And our contract still accounts for credits of split buses and stuff
Yep.
like like that, so we're getting all our credits.
Yep.
All right.
I actually just got that invoice today, so I'll be
All right.
reviewing it tomorrow morning.
And then the last one is special ed, 162K. We're running hot on special ed.
Yes, I was going to talk to that.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I asked for it.
That's okay.
All right, those are all my questions.
Okay. Any other questions about pay?
Under extracurricular, activity advisors,
Yep.
That's over.
Yep, that ends up...
Is that a new activity that?
There is, let me think about this for a second. There is a new activity, but it does get offset at the end of the year depending on what we've taken in from our student activity account. Sometimes that gets offset. Or a club doesn't run that we encumbered the money for and it never ran, and then we don't pay out the advisor stipend. We pay out advisor stipends in June of every year, so that'll get cleaned up.
Okay.
That won't be there. So, any questions about paid sick leave?
Well, yeah, one. I'm curious because you mentioned it just doesn't seem like they need to provide much of a reason. They can just
That's
basically disappear an hour's notice.
Yes.
Or no notice at all for an hour at a time.
Yep.
Right. So what if someone, I guess if my math serves me right, someone could just leave work early.
I mean, they have to let their administrator that they're leaving the building, but yeah, they could say, I don't feel good, I'm leaving.
They don't need to be, they can't be questioned or pushed back.
Nope.
They could do it 40 days in a row.
But they could do it 40 days in a row, yeah.
Or 40 hours, yeah.
Yeah, they could do it 40 days in a row, which is where I was going with that. They could go for 8 weeks, they could leave work early for an hour without being questioned.
Yes.
And we can't, as a district, take disciplinary action for them abusing that privilege because now they're an
Correct.
unreliable employee.
Correct.
Other than that, it might not
Essentially,
accrue that fast, right?
They may not accrue that fast, right. So it's only 1 hour for every 30 hours. It's approximately an hour every week. A teacher works 37 and a quarter hours or 36.75. A para may only work 32 hours a week. So every pay period, they're getting about 2 hours every pay period. And they actually have to work that number of hours in order to accrue the time. So if they take off, let's say that they took a full sick day, that full sick day, however many hours that equals, gets subtracted off of what their total worked hours is. So if a teacher were to take a full sick day, that's less than 30 hours that week. So they're not going to accrue an hour for that week.
Still a lot of hours,
It
but
is.
I see what you're saying. It won't be as bad as it
Right
was.
Right, and with our staff, we front load all of our time. So on July 1, most staff get 15 sick days every year. We front load that immediately. This is just saying that of that 15 sick days, you will be allowed to take X number in hourly increments as you accrue that ability to. Staff can take 4 sick days in a row in September, and we can't say anything. They could take all 15 sick days within the first 4 months of school, and as long as they don't exceed the 5 days in a row, they don't have to provide a doctor's note per their union contracts. So I understand your concern. I don't think that our staff is going to take.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think that that's going to happen. It could.
Why is that door open?
I agree with you.
That is just, I think, using a little foresight here, we probably need to be very formal in the way we track the behaviors and tendencies of anyone that may abuse such a policy to avoid any issues. Because what's going to happen is, if they do fall through with that, you're going to have to find other legal reasons to part ways with that particular individual. So this is something to keep in mind, because you won't be able to take them up on that. You can't say, hey, you've been leaving work constantly, we're scrambling to get coverage, you're really screwing everybody over. That's not an option, apparently, according to state law, which is just real brilliant.
Well, the bigger concern is if one person does it, now other people see it, and they're like, I'm leaving an hour early.
Hey, I could do that too.
Next thing you know, you got half the school leaving an hour early.
Because there's no accountability, literally written in the law.
Yeah. Like, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
But
you'd be surprised.
I think the steps credit too, it's like you do that, I mean, the schools are pretty tight-knit, I feel like, from a teacher standpoint, and it's like you do that, you're
Yeah, the culture
putting
and
other
climate, I
people,
think.
you're putting your fellow staff members in tough positions.
Yeah.
And the
It's not something that creates like a good
Right.
Most of our
foster
teachers have
like
a commitment to the
positive
students.
force,
They're
you know?
not-
I think
But,
all, I
yeah,
mean,
lunch
teachers,
break. Yeah,
I don't want to
right.
keep picking on
I think
teachers, they're kind of easy just because they're easy. But teachers, paras, secretaries, I mean, we all impact the school district and the daily operations of the school district, and I think that we have a really great staff here, and I don't foresee this really being a huge issue. Personally, I think that teachers, or any staff, teachers, paras, administrators, any of us, try to work our days around being the least, and if I need to leave, a half day, I'm picking a day that I don't have any meetings, or I have a lighter schedule so that I can step away and I'm not interrupting. And I think that the majority of our staff are that way.
Yeah.
I see this as a bigger back office issue than a front of the house
Yeah,
issue.
because you're not pulling the reports that way. You
Right.
can't actually track it that way. That means
Right.
you have to change the code in that system. That
Right.
means, that's...
Right,
that's
it's a
legit-
challenge.
Yeah.
So we are tracking that information too, about how many hours we're going to be spending on kind of the logistics of this law, and I'm really, really hopeful that July 1, they'll say, you guys are exempt and you don't have to do this. I'm hopeful. I can see how, Sam and I have had this conversation that I can see the state saying you have to provide a minimum number of hours to all staff. We far exceed 40 hours of paid time off for the majority of our staff. So I don't think that is the issue, that we're not providing opportunity for our staff to take a mental health day or to take a time off to be with their families. Where maybe people in private industry might. I haven't been in private industry in 16 years, so I can understand that, and there are staff members that we have that we don't provide 40 hours worth of time off to, for a variety of reasons. Should we? Maybe that's something that we need to look at. It'll be a fiscal impact, but are we doing right by our employees if we do provide that opportunity? I could see the state mandating that kind of a thing, but to tell us how our staff can take time off when it's so impactful to the operations of our district, I have a hard time with that one.
Yeah.
So.
I guess my last point would be just what can we do as a district to apply that pressure to the state to show them? Like, we would need to obviously make our case here locally at the state level and say, hey.
There's a lot of energy in the superintendent's group around this, and CAPS as well. It just doesn't fit us.
Right.
And we are wasting our human resource time in tracking a problem that is not part of us.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm very hopeful too that we will be pursuing an exemption, and it just makes sense that we are exempt from this.
Right.
That's great to hear. So you're saying superintendent subject.
Superintendent.
I just want to clarify that.
Yeah,
You're saying the superintendents are all in agreement.
We're
Not all,
on the
but
same page.
most, yeah.
I would say all.
Like in the room, it's just like,
would say all.
can you believe?
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
okay, good.
That's how the business
Like the
managers are
the
too.
overreach, and that's what it is. It's
Okay.
an overreach. People should be able to take the half day, full day,
Right.
not scripted to just an hour. It just doesn't fit. Because to your point, if I take an hour, an adult still has to be in that space.
It's not the same type of job.
Right.
It's a very sensitive
Right.
situation.
If a staff member didn't need a substitute, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. But we need coverage. We are responsible to young kids.
Every minute.
So, that's difficult if you have, multiple people out for the same hour and you can't get coverage. We can't get coverage now with the subs that we have.
You're going to have one heck of a spreadsheet.
You should, Just kind of avoided it today.
We got an email from the Ellington Board of Education. Okay, that
they
you might
are.
want to check.
Yeah, I got a copy of
They're
that.
lobbying for, you'll have it on your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're lobbying for it to be exempt.
Eliminated, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Happy to hear that. That's good.
We'll cross our fingers and hope for July 1 to, maybe sooner. Maybe they'll tell us sooner that we don't have to do it, I don't know. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about was the tuition and transportation for special ed. In the December monthly report, the special ed tuition is at negative 162. The special ed transportation is at negative almost 90,000. It's been that way since the beginning of the school year, approximately that amount based on our outplacements. I had stated at the last meeting that those tend to get cleared up with the excess cost reimbursement that we get from the state based on our high-cost students. Last year's, I may have mentioned this at the last month's meeting, we typically plan to get anywhere between 72 and 75% reimbursement rate. They changed the formula. We were supposed to get 88% last year. They don't fund the excess cost grant at the state level to where they're supposed to, and we got 68.5% reimbursement last year. Sam and I had a conversation at the end of November, right around November, Thanksgiving, and I said to Sam, I am nervous about our reimbursement. I think that we are probably going to get about 60%, would be my guess, just based on the fact that the state did not add more money to that grant, and special ed costs are rising 5 to 7% every year in outplacements. And what do you know, we got our report last week and we're getting 59.41%, approximately. That's the number that I have calculated out. We were expecting about $237,000 this year, so that will not even cover that. That's in our budget right now. But I'm glad that I froze the budget.
It's not in our budget. The 237 we're going to get is not in our budget.
Correct. It's not in here because we don't budget that we're anticipating it, because we also don't anticipate that we're outplacing students. So we use that money to offset any unexpected outplacements. We are at 4 right now. Although I heard today or yesterday that we may be getting 1 back. So that would be great, because that's money that we don't have to spend.
What do you mean 4? Sorry, I'm looking.
4 new outplacements that we did not plan for in this current budget.
From this list, last year we were at 9, now we're at 12.
13, and I think 1 is coming back. Yeah. So what will happen is when I do these budget reports at the start of the school year, until we really know how much we're going to get back, I encumber the full amount that special ed is going to cost us. So that's why those are negative. Once we start receiving that money, we usually get about 70% of the allocation in February. That goes to the town, and then I will send invoices for our special ed tuition and transportation over to the town hall. They will pay those bills out of the money that we get. I will reduce the encumbrances that we have in our operating budget here. So in January, I will have, when I report in February, the January report, I will have this updated to reflect the excess cost. We will still be short in special ed tuition and transportation, probably about $50,000, but that bottom line will be $237,000 more than the 60 that it's showing right now. This also does not take into account all of the long-term subs that we will have in the spring. So while that bottom line will be much bigger, the long-term subs will start to whittle down some of that money. So we'll continue to keep a close eye on it, but I think we'll be okay.
Do we cover 100% of the outplacement costs?
We budget for 100%, yes.
Like the entirety, like the bill for outplacement is completely covered by the district?
Yes.
There's no participation of the parents' health insurance?
No, nothing. There are some instances where a parent may choose to have their child evaluated outside of our school district. That may be covered by their health insurance. I don't get involved with any of that. We wouldn't, that's a special ed discussion. But for educational purposes, we are 100% responsible for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's my report on the monthly report, unless there are any more questions. Not much else has changed.
Other questions? Lots going on.
Good time.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I come bringing great news.
All right, opportunity to add, delete agenda items. Okay. We'll take a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion.
JT, and a second?
Second.
Okay, from Shane. All right, questions? Any questions on the, we got 11 policies there? That was probably 90% of the packet, I think. Okay. All right, all those in favor of the consent agenda? That's unanimous. Okay. No old business. New business. We have the first posting for the public school calendars, trying something new with a 2-year calendar. So I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. So, it's down a new path, but what I want you and the community to know is that this proposal was not created in isolation. There was collaboration from the PDAC committee, the leadership team, the CO team. What we must do to abide by the teacher contract is that we must provide 7 full professional development days, with one occurring after the last day of school in June. And we cannot start professional development before August 25th. In closely scrutinizing our past calendars, we were able to realize an efficiency and reduce the early release PD days from 9 to 7. Without that negatively impacting staff, with our full complement of coaches, we can get that professional development done during the work hours. So there was a close look to make sure that staff could still be supported with their professional development needs. I'm going to say that, I think in regard to planning, definitely for us, it assists us in having a farther look out with what we need to plan for, and I would imagine that it could be a positive for families who are trying to coordinate or plan time off or vacations. So that's kind of how we came through this and went through committee to bring it to you for your consideration.
Any questions, thoughts on a 2-year calendar?
Yeah, good idea.
Why not?
I think last year, when we had this discussion, Kim and several other board members had mentioned reducing the amount of half-days, and I'm glad you guys came to a compromise and worked that out. I think it's a good schedule.
Thank you.
Did you have any feedback from parents, community, or teachers on starting after Labor Day? Did it seem to be a non-issue? I know I was concerned about that. We're like the only school in Connecticut, but it didn't seem to, I mean, I don't know. I didn't hear anything negative about it after the fact.
Yeah, this is kind of our first fully public show of this 2-year idea. Through the multiple committees that did go through, the voices of the teachers are in this document.
So this year, because we did start after Labor Day for the first time this year, you didn't find any negative feedback from that at all? It was fine? Okay.
That was my perception.
Yeah. No, that's all I was asking. Yeah.
I think years ago, maybe you can, I think it used to be in the contract years ago that we were not allowed to start before Labor Day. Do you remember that? A long time ago. So that was one reason why we had never done it.
Right.
And then you just got in the habit that we start, before.
I do meet regularly with the teachers' union president. It wasn't communicated that it was an issue.
So my question for this summer and the one after would be around the construction timeline. So I'm not sure where, how much can be done this summer, if that would, having an extra week and starting after Labor Day makes sense because it gives them more time, or there's not a lot that they can do this summer, but the following one, they're going to need more time in the summer. So did that come up in the conversation around building this calendar?
That did not, and we are, I'm pleased at their ability to ask questions about what works best for us. So we're just starting. I think we've had 2 meetings so far with the reps coming here, and a lot of their questions are, because they work with schools, their job is to create the least amount of disruption and be as efficient as possible. So I'm sure that through our meetings, we will definitely engage in continuous conversation about timelines and efficiencies to complete the job.
Yeah. So I see sometimes schools would get out like a week early, right? And they can get that one week makes a huge difference to get started and make sure you meet the timeline, start of school next year. So just kind of going through my mind as we were talking about the construction earlier.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so we're not going to vote until the next meeting, so if you hear any feedback, just bring it back to the next meeting.
Yeah, if you have any questions after the fact, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
All right, so we'll move ahead then to curriculum committee.
Yes, we're going to have a meeting on next Tuesday, January 21st at 5 to look at some course updates that need to be warned or posted at the following meeting.
Okay. Then policy, we're going to wait probably till February to have our next meeting, and wait for the next quarterly update from Kate. So planning finance?
We are tomorrow at 5:30 and next Wednesday at 5:30. Right?
Yes.
14th, 22nd. And then the first round of the budget will be coming to you guys in our next meeting. Yes.
Are we doing anything for food?
It's not in the budget, and
I'll hold it up after that. I definitely can. I can figure something out.
Okay.
Kim,
But then we'll let things
I think we had
I'm going to have to call. I'm going to call you in.
tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, I can figure it out.
Okay. Salary negotiations?
No meeting scheduled, on hold.
Okay. And building committee, Mike?
Sam gave most of the update. So the bid packages should go out the end of January or so. They hope to get them back the end of February, and then they want to start removing the tiles in the school April vacation. We're changing the time of the meetings, so we don't have a new meeting scheduled, right?
Right. Our meetings are every 2 weeks. They used to be on Wednesdays at 12:30. We're moving them to Tuesdays at 2 p.m.
Okay.
They're virtual. They're posted on our website. Shannon posts them. And the next one is next Tuesday, the 21st.
Okay. CAVE report.
Yes, next meeting is this Wednesday, which my schedule on.
Correct.
Yeah, caving, correct, yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right, so.
I do the same thing, so it makes me look good too, you know?
Wednesday is the next regular meeting, but the news here is on February 11th. They're going to be holding their legislative breakfast at the state capitol, and superintendents and board chairs are invited. Also, they wanted us to reach out to our representatives, so I thought that could be a good opportunity for us to reach out to Senator Kissel and Representative Vail to invite them to the state capitol for 8:30 to 10 a.m. and see if we could set up a meeting with them to discuss the needs and maybe even get some traction on being alleviated from this burden of hourly Family Medical Leave Act. So February 11th, 2025.
Okay.
Legislative breakfast for CREC at the state capitol.
Breakfast, okay. All right, so back to the CAVE report. I attended the legislative breakfast on January 3rd. And the topic, it was really only one topic that was discussed the whole breakfast, and that was the excess cost. And people kind of frustrated with the budget, because it's just literally, as you just said, there's not enough money in the bucket to begin with, and then it's all divided up among all the school districts, so it's a guess. And special ed costs for everyone that was there, at least, is increasing. So there were about 8 legislators there, which is always helpful. And, you know, it's kind of like we can only give out what we get in, so a little frustrating. But this was held at Ram High School. State Department of Ed, I think we have anything else for, okay. And SEF, Shane?
Nothing to report over the break. Next meeting, I believe, is the 24th of January. As of now, I will not be able to make it, but that may change.
Okay.
And I already let the chair know, so.
Oh, great.
I'll try to get a report or something.
Terrific. All right. Audience to citizen, staff, students.
I just had a question about the construction and the HVAC.
Can you just give your name?
Oh, first name is Julie, last name is Hinckley, sorry. Did you guys explore the option of having, like, mobile classrooms on site and maybe using that for, like, the specials? And then you could utilize the facilities of the specials classrooms instead of moving the kids?
We did early in the planning process, and it was a cost, but, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's going to be costs regardless of what you do, right?
Mhm.
I mean, moving them to this school, there would be probably busing costs or other costs, so I mean, I don't know how much that would be. I just thought, I just know I've seen where they put like trailers, like the mobile trailers.
I think there's a waiting list to even get them.
Oh, the trailers, yeah. And then I just wanted to ask about the email that we got from Mrs. Martello this evening, about what happened at maybe Avery.
Yes.
I don't know if you had an update on that.
It was a hearsay incident. Let me just be clear, it was never a threat against the school, but Mrs. Principal Martello, Assistant Principal Dieter, and the SRO, along with specialists, did their due diligence. So it was overheard conversations, but it was never any intent or threat against the school. So it's information that was misconstrued and passed from one to another. And, you know, to their credit, they were in constant communication with me about it. And, you know, we thought it was done on Friday, but the new message that came out, people were still talking about it. So in my conversation with Principal Martello, we said, let's just send out a message just reiterating there was never a threat against the school, that it was investigated, and it should be a dead issue.
Thank you.
sorry.
No, you go. I'm sorry. The only other question I had was about the schedules. Are those calendars, are we able to see that as the public or not yet until you guys approve it? I'm just curious.
It's posted, right?
The 2-year calendar. The 2-year calendar.
It should be
Within
posted
the
on the
packet.
agenda, in the packet.
So it's in the agenda on the website. So
Thank
yes,
you.
it is published.
Okay, thanks.
There's a Board of Ed section on the
Oh, yeah.
website if you go down. Okay.
Samantha Robiati. So, prime example, there's threats in the middle school. We're going to bring 5th graders into the middle school. I'm not okay with that. As a taxpayer and a parent of a 3rd and 1st grader, I feel tricked with that vote. It didn't even say the building that the HVAC stuff was going into. People had to probe and ask questions. That should not have been the case. And now, this was an idea prior. I feel like there was a hidden agenda the whole time, and this is an excuse to put it into place. I'm not okay with that. They did this years ago, and it's not in place now. There's a reason. Carl, I would love for you to find out. Segregating our kids from other grades, I'm not okay with that. The bus, bullying, insecurity, body image issues, 10-year-old innocence, drugs in the middle school, I'm not okay with having my 5th graders there. and it sounds like it's a done deal, there should be options. There should be trailers. There could be second and third shifts. They could be doing this work. I am not okay with fifth grade going into middle school. Other things to think about, are they no longer part of summer's elementary school activities, assemblies? Which administration handles discipline? What about para 504 assistants? How will the staff effectively float to help students in different grades? What about specials? Library. Are there library books in middle school appropriate for fifth graders? No. Playground. Are they going to walk to recess every day? No. So there needs to be something else. I am not okay with this, and no other parent is going to be either. I don't like your hidden agenda. It's ridiculous. So is this a done deal? There's no other option?
No, we're not planning, and it was not a hidden agenda. We've walked SES, there's just not anywhere to put the number of students in that space.
There's 140 plus kids in third grade right now. They're going to fit in the middle school magically? Where's the room there?
They have classroom space, but I just want to reiterate
Sharing bathrooms with older kids?
I just want to reiterate that there is no hidden agenda. We've come to the point in the planning where we have to physically understand what is necessary for the work to get done. We did talk about second shift work. Couldn't afford second shift work.
Don't do the project then. Figure it out. Figure out a different way. I'm in summers because I like the K through 5. I would live in Enfield if I wanted K through 2, or my kids in 6th grade, I live here for a reason, and this is not attractive. The threats, everything that happens on in middle school, I hated middle school. Enfield was 7th and 8th grade when I was there. It was a tough time. It's awkward. And now you're going to make our 5th graders be with up to 8th graders? And the things that they're going to hear? No.
Okay. I don't have a rebut or anything. I'll just continue to update as we move forward.
I mean, there's one thing I will say. I mean, the 6th graders are on the buses with 12th graders currently.
Santa Claus isn't going to exist anymore.
Right, but I mean, you have to, sometimes things need to be uncomfortable for a short period, for the long period. I mean, I think the community would not be okay if we said we have to shut down SES for 2 years. What would we do then? So, I mean, there's going to have to be some type of an accommodation, and not everybody is going to be happy with it, but the end result is what it is. And there's going to have to be creative solutions. And I don't envy your position, you guys. But I understand the thought of putting 5th grade in the middle, so I wasn't sure if there was other options that you could do. I don't know, maybe the library can go to the town library, maybe that's some space. I don't know, just location-wise. Get creative with some of the space that we have at the high school. I don't know, but. I think the project needs to be done, so.
Lisa Horan, 43 Shady Dell Lane. I see all of the terribly difficult logistics involved here. And in an ideal world without budget constraints and inflation of building materials and all of it, more options might be available. What I know, because I'm at these board of meetings, every meeting, not just one night, is that the board is transparent about everything. There's no conspiracies, there are no hidden agendas. That is deeply insulting to these people. And I can't sit here and let that be said. That is so offensive. These people give God knows how much of their time to do this job for no pay in the best interest of the children of this community. That is their only guiding interest. Yes, also teachers and other staff. There's no hidden agendas at that table. That's so offensive. They're trying to do the best they can. The long-term goal, like Ms. Hinckley said, is to improve air quality in a school. COVID taught us how important that is. You seem to indicate that you voted to support it, so I presume you agreed that it was an important goal, and I believe that it is too. I don't even have kids in the elementary school, and I voted to support it because it's that important. It's a matter of health for all of the kids and the adults. And there will be loads of bumps in this road of making logistics work. What I know about the board and the superintendent is they will be constantly communicating with parents. It's hearing parents' concerns, trying their very best to work to reduce harms that parents feel could occur without any hidden agenda. I'm just shaking at the offensiveness of that suggestion. That's all.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. So we'll take a motion to adjourn. So Jan, and a second from Shane. All those in favor? All right. And the meeting's adjourned at 8:05.